Live-in relationships. The concept, once alien to India, now seems to be an integral part of our society, almost on par with marriages. In this edition of Tête-à-Tête, Subhadra and I welcome you to a discussion on the legality of live-in relationships in India.
So now let's look into what is the meaning of cohabitation, So when a couple chooses to physically live together before they are married or without being married at all, it is considered to as a live-in relationship. And it is basically cohabiting without having any kind of legal tags of marriage. And it is basically no strings attached kind of a relationship where even if the couple are incompatible after a few years or few months, they could just separate from each other without taking any kind of legal recourse.
So if we had to look at the legality of live-in relationships, we would like to state that there is no express law governing the live-in relationships. We have to draw it over from a series of judgments that were passed by the Indian courts from time to time. Having said that, Articles 19 and 21 of the Indian Constitution, which basically deal with fundamental rights. Article 19 deals with freedom of speech and expression, and Article 21 deals with right to personal life and liberty. Now, the right to choose to live in or otherwise seems to fall under the ambit of Articles 19 and 21 of the Indian Constitution.
It is also very interesting to note that the cases which are relating to the live-in relationships were heard way back in the late 70s, actually. So in the case called as Badri Prasad versus the Board of Consolidators, the apex court ruled in favor of a couple who were in a live-in relationship for a very long period of time. And it is also presumed that they were considered to be married, as a married couple. Though they were since they were living over a period of time, they were considered to be as a married couple. And there have been several other cases after that. In 2001, while distinguishing the social morality from the legal morality, the Allahabad High Court also held that very clearly an adult who is a major has the right to do anything, including living with a partner without getting married.
Right.
The Supreme Court also further ruled in another case where the adults of opposite gender can also live together and it would not be an offense.
Subhadra, a similar judgment was delivered in 2010 in a case Khushbu versus Kanniammal and another. Again, the apex court was involved. The apex court held that a live-in relationship between two consenting adults who are heterogeneous, essentially meaning a man-woman couple, will not be considered an offense. Now, from the societal perspective, live-ins may be considered an offense or morally incorrect, but the courts, even back in the early 2000s, chose to delineate societal morality and constitutional morality separately. And they held that live-in relationship between two consenting heterogeneous adults would not amount to an offense.
Another interesting fact is even in live-in relationships, there are protections which are being given to women as well. So especially under the protection against the domestic violence, So one of the most significant judgments was delivered by the Supreme Court in 2013 in Indra Sharma versus VKV Sharma case. Here, the apex court ruled that women who are in live-in relationships are also entitled for protection under the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005. Just like the married women, they also have the same kind of rights.
Okay.
It is also relevant here to note that Section 2F of the Domestic Violence Act provides protection for women against the domestic violence if they are in kind of any domestic relationship which is either living in a shared household, either by a reason of being, either they are married or they are being in a relationship, like a live together, or in any kind of nature of marriage. Live-in relationships will also fall under this category clearly. So hence a woman even under a live-in relationship is entitled to protection under the Domestic Violence Act.
Right. That's a very valid point made in this case. I'd like to further add that in the same case, the court had laid down certain guidelines. They are indicative guidelines, not exhaustive guidelines, in determining rights relating to a live-in relationship. For instance, the duration of the relationship. Now, the longer the duration of the relationship, there is a presumption of them being a married couple. And another guideline would be whether they are sharing a household, living in physically, but whether they are sharing the household, what their financial arrangements are between the couple, whether children are involved. That is one of the most defining factor in ascertaining rights relating to a live-in. And what is the intention and conduct of a couple? Are they putting themselves out to the society as a couple, or are they not socializing and keeping the relationship under wraps? These are a few indicative guidelines, basis which courts will take a call on handing out rights to the live-in. Again, wish to reiterate that these are not exhaustive guidelines, so this is just the base, and courts will take their decision from case-to-case basis. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah. So next is the other interesting aspect which everybody need to know is about the alimony and maintenance for the woman in a live-in relationship. So in the case of Ajay Bharadwaj versus Jyotsna in 2016, the Punjab High Court held that a woman is completely entitled to an alimony or maintenance, especially if she is dependent as a live-in partner financially and where even the children are being involved.
Right.
So again, this did not hold good in the Indra Sharma case, where the live-in lady, the giving in maintenance for the living-in partner would be at the cost of the legally wedded wife.
Right. Another very interesting aspect of relating to live-in relationships will be the rights of children who are born out of such live-in relationships. In June 22, as recent as June 2022, the Supreme Court held that children who are born out of live-in relationships are legitimate. This was probably stemmed from the fact of the nature of the long-term relationship. You remember in the previous case, we had discussed about how some indicative guidelines were put in, of which the period of relationship as well as children both indicate in the nature of marriage. So therefore, children born out of it are naturally considered legitimate.
Right, absolutely. So naturally, children who are also entitled to the property here of their parents, and by right, they are also entitled to the self-acquired property of their parents as well. And for the ancestral properties, it is governed by the respective property laws and family laws, such as the Muslim personal laws or the Hindu Succession Act, etc.
Another issue relating to children, see, we discussed the legitimacy of children, we discussed their rights to inherit property. Staying with the concept of children out of live-in relationships, there was always a query relating to whether live-in relationship couples could adopt. So regarding that, I would like to share that the eligibility of a live-in couple for adoption actually depends on a case-to-case basis. And I say this because adoption laws in our country, there is a mandate, there's a condition that requires that couples have to be married to be eligible to adopt. So not every live-in couple are eligible to adopt. It is decided on a case-to-case basis by the courts.
Right. So to sum it up, it is very clear, and I would like to say that there is absolutely no express law which is legalizing live-in relationships. But over the time, and the Indian judiciary have also strived to keep pace with the changing dynamics of the society. In doing so, they have kept the social morality apart from the legal and the constitutional moralities. Courts have also passed judgments from time to time, from acknowledging the concept of live-ins to ascertaining the rights of concerned parties as well. They have also drawn from international laws in this regard.
Right. Subhadra, now actually there is an ongoing debate about legalizing same-gender marriages. It's a hot topic. It's currently in progress, and the Supreme Court has actually asked the government to consider granting certain rights to same-gender couples without actually legalizing same-gender marriages. That's the current status quo of the ongoing debate. I believe that the legal status of a live-in relationship also is on similar lines. Through a series of judgments, some rights have been granted though there is no express mention of legalizing a live-in anywhere. We hope that the viewers have found this discussion very interesting. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.